Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish.
And we're back in the studio.
Another soft-toned podcast.
Which is less annoying to listen to. Well, anyway, I thought I'd start us out with a little true crimey story.
It's very timely for this year.
Since it's September 10th now.
Yep.
It'll be September 11th, but I was down the rabbit hole again, per usual, this time of year.
This time of year, it's anytime.
But, so I was looking up, September 11th stuff, but I was remembering this story that I had heard a couple of years ago, and it was like, about Sneha Phillip. Now, what is it?
Okay, I don't remember hearing this at all.
It's not like super, well, I'll just get into it. Okay. I'm not going to go into super details because I don't have notes and I don't want to misspeak on her case. But basically, Sneha went missing September 10th was the last time anyone had heard from her, 2001.
In New York?
In New York. Okay, so what's really interesting about this case is that, well, they talk a little bit about how she had some troubles. Like I won't get too much into it, but there was like a case that she had said that she was assaulted by a coworker and all that case stuff was going on. And they wanted her to say that she had lied about it and she would refuse to. So just kind of like some sketchy stuff. And there's just some other sketchy stuff around her case, but there's three interesting theories about her in a case. So basically, she lived very close to the Twin Towers.
Okay.
Like, I think it was like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
So the last time anyone heard from her was the 10th, but that was a very normal day. Like, she had talked to her mom and everything. Like, everything was normal. But what's interesting is the fact that because she lived close to the Twin Towers, people wonder if, because she was a doctor, if she kind of saw what was going on. People were hurt, obviously. And maybe she ran over to help and was in the area because obviously she lives there. So that's kind of like one interesting theory. The other theory would be that something had happened to her because of the troubles. Like maybe she ended with foul play and it just happened to be around
the day. Yeah.
And with all the chaos and everything, it just kind of got blown away. But then there's another theory that because, again, that she was troubled, she left. And in the chaos of September 11th, people just didn't know what happened to her. And she started a new life.
Kind of convenient.
Yes. Okay, so this is where the conspiracy comes in.
This is the most interesting theory for sure.
Do you remember the books, the post-secret books? Where
yeah. Yes.
So if you don't know, there's this book where people sent in their secrets on postcards, and this guy published a book.
I forgot about that.
Yes. Okay. There is a secret in there of the Twin Towers. And it says, everyone who knew me before 9/11 believes I'm dead. And people wonder if that's Sneha. It more than likely isn't her, but to think,
never know.
I know, but to even think that there's somebody in the midst of the chaos, or even before that, people are like, oh, well, maybe they were in the Twin Towers or had something to do with that.
That is crazy.
But so I think that's interesting. But she is honored on the memorial as a victim of 9/11, but she's never been found. None of her remains, and nobody knows what happened to her. And she lives so close to the Twin Towers that the husband said that there was their window was open a crack and there was a ton of dust in there. So did she run over there? Did she run in the building to help try to get people evacuated? I mean, literally nobody knows.
So most likely probably she did that because being a doctor,
I
right?
know, that's why it's so,
but it is interesting.
It's just
because other stuff was going on with her that maybe she did just want to escape, and this was the perfect
or
kind of ruse.
I know, or even just something randomly could happen to her the day before. And then everything happened. It kind of got pushed away.
Gosh.
So I just think if you want to look more into it, it's Sneha, Sneha Phillip.
Interesting.
There's a lot of interesting details, but it's interesting, man.
Speaking of 9/11 theories, like, because our TikTok was filled with them, but the one, there's that iconic video of when George W. Bush found out, and he's like in front of kids, like at this story time. And I was like, oh my God, like I look at that, and from the time I'm like, how stoic, like that he didn't even react. Like he had to just do this. Like he couldn't send everyone into a panic. And so I'm like, oh, let me look at the comments. Filled with everybody knew. Look at him. There's evil in his eyes. His plan was complete. I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah, people definitely. I mean, they really believe some of that stuff. But I think, like at the end of the day, hopefully that's not part of it's not true.
No.
But people still like lost their lives and everything. And I think if you're like the president sitting there and they tell you what happened, you probably don't understand like the gravity of the situation.
But also like who knows what exactly they told him,
right?
It's
like,
and what was he supposed to do? Like jump up and leave, and then everybody there would have been like, something's wrong. What's going on? Like I don't even know where they were. It's definitely public knowledge where that was, that book reading, but I don't know off the top of my head. So it's like, if that wasn't even in the New York area, like, people probably didn't know yet.
Truly
like,
know, or know that like the Pentagon was being, or like Flight 93.
So
it's like
there's no, I think just when we saw that in like real time, it was like, oh my gosh, how amazing that he was able to like not react in that moment and like continue this. Like, I mean, and then some of them were like, this was the only time America was united. But it is so crazy. Like, but when you go back to, well, I didn't know this was going to be a full-on like 9/11 tribute podcast. But when you go back, like, remember those like Toby Keith songs and like
courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It was like we all were together. We remember because we were in third grade, and we made those flags. Remember, our whole school made flags, and we put them out in the front.
I'm gonna start crying.
I know, like, I just feel like a lot of the people who were in the comments, like, weren't ones that lived through it.
Right.
Because if you lived through that, like, it's just a different ball game. Like, I don't believe at all that George W. Bush, like, planned that. Like, it was such a... Okay, Hannah might think differently.
No, I know, I agree.
It was such a horrible tragedy, and like evil of a president could we possibly have had that would like do that to his own?
Have you? Oh, here we go down the conspiracy hole. Have you seen that video of that one guy where they're in like a press thing and he's like yelling at George Bush?
No.
And he's like, you lied, and I was out there, and my friends died, and you lied about weapons of mass destruction, and they like pulled him out, and then you should see the comments under that.
Well, I mean, that's a different, that's with like the war part of it, right? Where there was a little bit of, but I don't know. It's like, it's so weird because I listened to American Scandal, which was a podcast, which I think you would like that actually. It's really good. They do like different most of them are like involving like presidential stuff, but that each season goes on a different kind of story. And it's just like throughout all of history, like presidents have all this knowledge, or people like involved in politics have this knowledge. And it's like, I can't imagine having that weight on myself with like, okay, what do I do with it? People are gonna judge me whether I do this or this. Like, I don't, and some things like I don't even want to know.
No, literally, I don't want to know at all.
So like, I can't.
That's such a burden to carry. And I know people like really trash on presidents and stuff, but if you really like think about what their job, like I would never want to be involved with that stuff.
I wouldn't either. Just the pressure is so immense. And you know that like the country, like about half or more or less are going to hate you.
Literally.
Just because of your political party. Right. So it's like you're already starting out pretty bad. Yeah, I would hate it. But anyway, 9/11, yeah.
Yeah. Did you, just to end on like a funnier note about that, do you remember in the one Scary Movie, I think it was like Scary Movie 4, and they're making fun of George Bush finding out. They come up to him and he's like sitting there, the actor, and they're like, they say it, he's like, that's great, but I want to find out what happens with the duck.
Because everybody kind of said he was stupid. Like, everybody said that about poor George Bush. Like, that he wasn't smart. Oh, man. That's funny, though.
Never forget all those poor innocent lives.
Oh, my God. But I just say it's like the same thing with like World War II. Like, I love that part of history because I find it so interesting. But to say that I like enjoy learning about it is such a weird thing to say.
Well, and I think what's interesting about that too, it was like something we actually lived through, like a big moment. Right. So it is kind of like a.
We really should do a New York trip together. That would be so fun. But I remember the one time when I was interning there and they had the memorial open, like the museum was open, and I went through there and it was so emotional. And it's so crazy. I mean, it's the same with like the Holocaust and Auschwitz and everything, but like this was a part of history and like all these people lost their lives and now it's like a tourist attraction. Like it's so, I mean, it really like kind of messed with me. Right. Like that people are in there from all these other countries like wanting to go see, which it's like, you know, good, we can all learn, but it's almost just like it just felt weird.
I know, it is like a weird thing because you want like some kind of a memorial for what happened and you want people to learn about it, but it does feel weird where you're like reading all these names.
I know. They have videos. Oh my God.
Pieces of
they had
people's things.
They had things. Yeah, they had phone call. Like it was so crazy. And it literally went through like every like hour, like leading up. And then the deeper you got into the museum, it was like the further you got into it. And oh my God, it was really emotional. And they had one of the pieces of the, what do they call them? Like the big rebar or whatever that goes through a building, they make it stay. Oh, yeah. They had one of the big pieces in there. Like it was really crazy. Didn't they let us out from school early? I remember that. Yeah, and we all had to get picked up.
9 staring at a TV of like a building collapsing and people jumping.
Like I remember every television channel, it was like nothing else was on TV.
Right. It's like this horrible thing. Gosh.
I know, it gives you chills, but I really do enjoy like watching the documentaries that they have on them. Like it's so sad.
I know. But it's kind of like amazing too, just to see the way like the camaraderie of people just like out there helping each other.
Oh, I know.
Just like trying to get people safe. There's I won't get into the sad stories.
Yeah, we don't need to go there because we'll just cry.
I know. It was just like, and just, like in Flight 93, that's a whole other thing. It's just like, but anyway,
we'll move into lighter topics.
Sorry to depress you.
Well, I'm going to Ireland. So I have another cousin's wedding. They had
all our cousins are getting married.
Quite close. Yeah, they are. But I'm going this week, so I'm excited. I got this one dress which I sent you. It's a little tight, so I need to like fast this week. But then it was just weird sizing. Anyway, but then I got an email from Anthropology. Of new stuff that came in. Right. And there was this new dress and it wasn't going to be for the wedding. It was going to be for like
other activities.
Yeah, the day before, day after. It was so cute. And they had it with like these such cute shoes. I'm like, oh my God, I need this dress. I need it so bad. But then I'd have to buy a new pair of shoes. And if I bought the dress and the shoes, it would have been like $300. And I'm like, Ailish, do you really need this? Like, come on. And I was literally this close to pulling the trigger.
Let's just do it.
But then I remembered that we have some concerts that we want to go to coming up. And I said, Ailish, will you be able to wear this again? Like in a normal setting? Right. do you need this right now? And the answer was no. So I did not buy.
It just like, because like in our normal lives, we don't get to dress up like that. And when you finally get like the chance, like if it is a wedding, it's like, you just want to.
I know. And it's like when you have things that are happening like multiple days throughout the weekend, it's like, who doesn't want to have new stuff for that? I mean, I do. Maybe other people don't get as into it, but it's fun. So I was proud of myself that I didn't make the impulse buy, even though I really wanted to, and the dress was so cute.
No.
So I'm kind of sad. And now I don't have any choice. I can't order it because it won't get here in time.
I know. That always does. Even when I was getting my dress for my cousin's wedding, I was like, I should have just wore something I already had. And I'm like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
I want something new.
It's fun to get something new.
Especially like a formally thing.
Yeah, for a wedding, it's so much more fun.
I agree.
Okay, guys, we are really excited to announce another collaboration with the brand Happy Earth. They make the cutest clothes and they are sustainable and made really responsibly. We are getting an order in soon, so we're really excited to show you guys some of their cute fashions, especially with the temperatures cooling down here in Ohio. For fall, these are going to be so perfect. So they have everything from organic sweatshirts to organic joggers, really cute graphic tees, and the best part about this brand is that they actually give back to the environment. So with every purchase, you are helping to fight climate change, plant trees, and even clean up trash. So for a nice discount, you guys can use Emotional Support Water Bottle Pod at checkout for a wonderful 20% off. That's at happyearthapparel.com. Use code Emotional Support Water Bottle Pod for 20% off at checkout. One thing that isn't like, I guess since we're kind of on like newsworthy topics, the US Open of tennis is on. The men's finals are today and the women's were yesterday, and 19-year-old Coco Gauff won. Which I was very proud of her. That was exciting.
I was watching just on TikTok before you got here. I was watching a video. Ooh, I just feel like the anxiety of when you're like going back and forth, and then it's like you get even more.
I know. Well, Hannah and I were tennis players back in the day. We decided not to go pro, but
we definitely could have.
We were a doubles team.
We were. Believe it or not.
Yeah, believe it or not, we were conjoined in our athletics as well. But yeah, and I also was like toying with going to New York last weekend because I did that last year and going to the US Open. So I was kind of depressed because I'm like, Ailish, save money. Like that turns into like a monster of a trip because you just want to spend everything when you're in New York. But like the vibe at the US Open is unbelievable. Like being on the grounds is just so fun. And even if you don't have like a seat to like one of the big matches, you can still like get food at one of the places, and they have TVs everywhere and everybody's watching. Like it is so fun. But the reason why I brought that up was because there have been so many protesters in New York recently. Yeah, like the one at the US Open, I can't remember whose match it was, but it was like a couple days ago. And I think it was for climate change. And they like one of them glued their shoes to the ground, and they were wearing t-shirts, and they were like kind of being disruptive, and they had to be escorted out. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you glued your shoes to the ground, first of all. And second of all, I would have been like, okay, then your shoes are gone. You're leaving. Like, we're taking you out. But then I also saw at a fashion show, because it's also Fashion Week in New York, that somebody for Pete, it was like Coach, I think their show, and they were saying like, oh, Coach uses leather, they kill animals, and somebody was like painted as if they had been skinned, and so it was like, you know, you could just see all their muscles. Yeah, like, and trying to make the point of like real leather is bad. But I just find it like, I don't think that's the appropriate way to put your point across.
Right.
You know, like...
Right, because if you're being, like, disruptive like that, they're just going to kick you out.
Right, and then nobody... Like, people are just more annoyed by that than actually listening to what you're trying to say. Like, remember, I don't think this was, like, a few months ago where somebody, like, glued their hands onto, like, a priceless work of art.
I do remember.
It's like, now you ruined that. Right. Like, what point are you trying to make?
Right.
You're
being just as awful.
Right. I know. And I mean, listen, I am all for like no animal cruelty, but you get a nice leather bag. I mean, that baby's going to last you forever.
Right.
Like, I just can't. There's some things I'm just like, if I'm not a full-blown vegetarian who doesn't buy anything that's made of animal products, like, I don't feel like, how am I helping? I don't know, maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but...
I don't know. I mean, I get their point, and like,
I do too.
They're right and stuff, but I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be a different way to, like, do it. But I don't know. It's like they want to do extreme stuff like that just to, like, get people talking, but it just, like, doesn't get people talking in, like, the same in, like, the way I feel like they want it to.
No, because it just comes off as
insane,
disrespectful, and
they're
crazy,
just kind of like, and then they're always shouting crazy things.
Or
and
remember
it's like,
when they used to throw blood at people or like paint?
Yeah.
But yeah, for people who wore fur, and listen, having worked in the fashion industry, when you feel a nice real pelt, there is literally nothing like it. Like, it is so beautiful. I own nothing fur. I can't afford that. But if I was going to Aspen and I had the opportunity to rent a beautiful coat, I don't know if I would turn that down. Like,
that gets multiple uses if it's rented.
Right. And as long as, I just don't like if animals are being like tortured. That's wrong, you know, but I don't know. Listen, cave people did this, so this isn't like a new thing that we've created. Anyway, do you have any other exciting things from this week?
Like personal? Well, me and my husband are going to go to Chicago not this week, but the week after.
Yeah.
So we got some of that stuff figured out, and I'm going to go see Celebrity Memoir Book Club, our live show, so I'll have to let everyone know how it is.
Yeah, you'll have to do some content.
I know, and oh yeah, I should.
Yeah.
Make some TikToks.
Yeah.
But we're talking about going like downtown Chicago and stuff the next day, because my husband wants to do a river tour, because that's his 30th birthday.
Oh,
a little youngster,
a little baby.
That whole 6 months. But and we're gonna stay at this. I've never stayed at one of these before, but it's kind of like a bed and breakfast, but it's not. Like, it's like a, I don't know, like everything's like we're sharing, but I think there's only like 3 or 4 rooms, so there's gonna be like 3 or 4 other people there, but we all like share the bathroom and the kitchen and everything. So we'll see how that goes.
Where is it?
It's in like Wicker Park.
So a little bit outside. Okay.
That's where the show is, like the theater where the show's gonna be. So I was like, let's just do that. And then it's like maybe like a 20-minute ride into the downtown area. So it's still pretty close.
Yeah. Hopefully the weather's nice.
I know. But even if it was a little cooler, I wouldn't be too.
It's
as long
literally,
as it's not raining.
Yeah. It's always so windy. I mean, they call it the Windy City, but when my dad and I went like a couple years ago for spring break, and it was like freaking wind tunnels, like so many places. It was so unbearable. I mean, it wasn't like that cold because we went in like April or March, but with that wind, man, I'm like, I can't even talk to him when I'm walking because I can't hear.
Need my ear covers, because my ears always hurt so bad in that kind of wind. But
yeah, I mean, you'll have so much fun.
I know, we're excited. It'll just be a quick trip, so I mean, it'll be fun.
Are you just going overnight, or are you staying?
Two
nice. That'll be good.
And we'll be back because we're going on a Wednesday, Thursday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then Friday morning we're gonna come home.
It's not that bad of a drive.
No, it's only to our hotel. I mean, without traffic, it's less than 4 hours.
Yeah, but I know. It's really I don't know why we
don't go more.
Yeah,
and I've been, I think, once when we were kids, we did a train ride there, and then we went and watched some kind of show, and then we took a train ride back, and then we went literally one day when I was a teenager or in middle school, maybe. It's me, my stepsister, and my mom. It's because we have some of my step family lives in Chicago. Okay. So we just we just shopped. We drove there, shopped, ate, and then came back. So
one day, yeah. We should do that. Well, we talked about it last year, and then we just didn't.
Well, then I was
that was 2022 when we didn't follow through with plans, but 2023 we do. So going forward, we should do one. That would be fun. We can just drive up, stay the night, do some fun girl stuff.
I know, that would be fun.
I know. Well, should we touch on OC quickly?
Sure.
I didn't write that much about this one. It just feels like with every episode, it's there's one thing, there's all these random things, and then one fight.
Yes.
You know?
And it I don't know. And I thought Emily was being kind of a brat.
I was so disappointed in her behavior.
I really like
Me too.
An Emily inspired dress today from when she was being a brat.
No, Emily's one of my favorites, and I even wrote down, I thought that she was supposed to kind of be the voice of reason and more rational, but yeah, she was just plain rude this episode.
She really was, and it was I did laugh a little when she was eating that one thing and said she could taste sand.
Yeah, which is just what are you?
No, you can't.
Okay, but also she was just so drunk. Why are we doing this? Do we feel like we have to do this in order to make
are they not
TV?
having fun?
Right.
Is that why they're drinking so much?
I know. It seems like a lot of them have admitted, I haven't eaten all day and now I'm slamming drinks. Why are we doing this? But it was very clear that Emily was highly intoxicated. And if Gina and Tamra are even saying,
I know, you're drinking too much,
you need to stop. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And from Heather's standpoint, when somebody's like that in the moment, there's no point of engaging.
Yeah, I know, arguing with them and being you're hurting my feelings. It's whatever, just shut up and eat.
I know it, but from the little cocktail part that they had through the dinner, it just kept getting progressively worse as she.
Anna was kind of she's I haven't eaten all day and I keep drinking champagne, and I'm don't. Well, that's just common knowledge.
Right.
Don't do that or expect this kind of react or result.
Maybe have some water instead. You don't have to keep drinking the champagne. No. I thought it was funny, to backtrack from the dinner for a second, because the house selling was the big thing, or they closed, whatever. But I thought it was so funny how Terry kept making little comments about he's so impressed by the 55 million.
That's
as they should be.
I know. At first, when I heard that, I don't know. I think it's because we're so used to celebrities buying houses for that much, that when I first heard it, I was oh yeah, that's a lot. But then I was wait.
That's crazy. I know. But it's just so funny how he kept saying stuff about getting a new jet and I've got 55 million reasons to miss this.
And then they're it went through, it's in the account. I was
that makes me want to throw up. That I cannot even imagine. I mean, their bank accounts are huge anyway, but
that just here you go. Here's 55 million.
It's funny to see Terry so giddy. He's just giddy.
This is what I work for, baby.
I know. It's just so funny. I don't know. Then the only thing was we get to the party, Heather Dubrow's party, which was beautiful and excessive. But I mean, that's kind of their lifestyle anyway. And everybody just seemed to have a pretty good time besides Emily, I guess. And then we suddenly flash forward to Mexico. Like it was literally blink or you'll miss it.
I know. They're like, we should go. It's like that typical fake setup.
I know. You know where we need to go?
I haven't been to Mexico. Or I want to drink margaritas.
Yeah. Or it's like, you know what this tequila reminds me of? Mexico. We should go.
It's like, what?
How many Mexico trips have they gone on with literally. This like OC franchise? True. Like they go there
every time.
Because remember, Vicky was obsessed with Mexico. She'd be down there like every other weekend, I swear.
So funny, but yeah.
So they get to Mexico and everything's okay at first, and then suddenly, I think like Tamra was right to like break the ice and just be like, so we saw you sold your house, right? Like somebody had to say it.
Kind of like back and forth. Like I do feel like it is damned if she did, damned if she didn't. But then it is kind of weird for all of them to be like, we literally just saw her and she didn't say anything.
But I don't know why they care so much because they've all been bashing Heather this whole season. Why the heck would she tell you guys this?
I know. It's like, oh yeah, because you've been so supportive and loving towards her.
And then that's what she says. And they're like, me. It's like, you guys have been so awful.
Literally.
Why would she share anything?
Brags and everything. And it's like, how do you literally say, just sold the house for 55?
Yeah, how do you like bring that up?
I know, especially in a cute way or like a humble way.
Right. So, I don't know. And when she said like, well, we signed the NDA, like that really should have been, oh, no, I understand. Like you couldn't talk about it. They're like, you don't trust us? You don't share anything with us, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
It's like, whatever, guys. It was so frustrating.
It was just frustrating how much that escalated. Like then all of a sudden Emily
you said that Shannon was talking badly about me. And then Gina's like, actually, she said Tamra was
I know, but I was kind of annoyed that I know, why didn't Gina speak up?
Why'd you let that? And then she's like, well, I guess I was like getting my hair done.
Okay, but you said you heard it differently. Mm-hmm. And honestly, with the way Emily's been drinking, it doesn't surprise me if she misheard. But it's like Gina claims to be so close with Heather. You didn't defend her. She said nothing. I mean, maybe something was cut.
Right. And I guess that is tricky. But actually, you said it was Tamra. And then Tamra was like, what was I talking? You know how Tamra, she's probably scared of Tamra. I don't know. But I was kind of like, I don't know. I wish Gina would have pulled Emily aside and said like,
right,
actually,
hey girl,
it was
like
Tamra
I heard that different. There. Yeah, I mean, Emily was like, this seemed like, I don't know how they're even friendly right now. Like, it seems like she is not a fan of Heather, which I don't even know why. I don't know where all this like animosity came from. I really don't know. It was like pure disdain and hatred spewing from Emily. Mm-hmm. Like she was just yelling at her across like it was so, that was why I was just really like disappointed with her behavior this episode.
I know it was sad because I did like her, and she just seemed like real. And then for her to like, I don't know, just have like this weird, maybe something was going on with her personally, and that was why she was like lashing out on her.
But isn't that the excuse that everybody uses? And it just seemed like this was so unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know why. I mean, this is just another reason pointing to why we think Heather is going to flip over to Beverly Hills. I don't know why she would stay with this cast.
Mm-mm. I know. Like this overall season is kind of like, I don't want to say like boring, but it's just weird. But I think the reunion's going to be really good.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of feuding at the reunion.
And then like the previews for next week look kind of interesting. Vicky's coming, too.
Isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they're like fighting about Ryan again and Jen and Tamra and that whole thing again.
I will say the one part, aside from the fighting, was when Ryan met Jen's mom for the first time.
Crazy that they had never
I know,
met.
I thought that too. But then when I thought about it more, like, are they just very religious, or like, I can't remember. I think they're very religious.
Believe in, because she said don't believe in divorce.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
And the ex-husband was still working with the family.
Yeah.
So I guess I can kind of understand, but I did think it was weird how they just had never met before.
I know. It's like, seems like she didn't want them to meet him.
Oh, I mean, would you want Ryan to meet your parents? Like, no.
I would just want to date him.
I mean, literally, in the outfit that he showed up in, I would have been mortified.
I wonder if he is just doing that for camera and dressing like that, or if he really is like dresses like that.
Did you say this, or did I hear it somewhere else that he like does stuff with his clothes?
Oh yeah, I think they said it on Watch What Happens Live or something, but I remember he like designs them or like adds to them. So I mean, maybe that's just a thing he does all the time.
Well, I don't agree with his sense of style. But
it just doesn't. It's just like out of nowhere, just this crazy jacket or something. Right. It's like, what is happening here? But
I also just think like him being so like, yeah, marriage is definitely in our future. If she was divorced, we would already be married. Like, he's just so like slimy and try hard.
Where it's like, but, I understand the divorce process is long. It's like, okay, so you really don't want to. I don't know. He's weird.
He is just weird. Yeah, I guess that was like pretty much it. I will say this episode, even though there was all that fighting, I thought it was a little bit more enjoyable because we didn't have the like craziness of Tamra.
Yeah, where she was like barely in it.
Yeah, like she and Shannon were really like low key for this episode, and I think it kind of made it a little bit more watchable.
Wasn't too crazy.
But I am looking forward to seeing Vicky back next episode, because at this point Vicky's the saving grace.
I know. They should just bring her back.
I know they need to just bring her back.
She doesn't really want to. I don't know.
I feel like she probably wants.
Now that Tamara's back.
Yeah.
She'll want to. But.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I don't know what I think about this season. It's like sometimes I just had such high hopes, and I guess it was silly to get.
I know. I did enjoy it because I missed last week's episode, and I ended up watching them back to back, and that was actually pretty enjoyable. Mm-hmm. It's just so hard, not to get off on a different subject, but it's just hard watching things one by one.
I know, when we're not used to doing that. It's like
I want to binge it.
We had to do that back in the day, and now we're just not used to it anymore.
And it makes it less, like it almost makes it feel more boring than if we were seeing everything in all one together.
Sitting. Yeah, I know.
Oh, this is a juicy season.
Right. But, yeah, it is a different feeling. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think the reunion will be interesting. I think sparks are going to fly.
I know. I can't wait, because that's when they show, like, I know what you said.
Mm-hmm. Well, should we take a quick little break?
Sounds good.
Okay, we're back. Well, last week we had a very interesting conversation about parasocial relationships. And we we could have gone off on like a huge tangent with that, but we cut ourselves a little shorter. But there's been a lot of stuff that has happened since then.
Yeah, it's like because when we last recorded, it was like, no, they're not, or Sophie and Joe are not getting divorced. And all of a sudden they did announce that they really were separating.
So as a quick little like recap, since it's been official that Joe actually did file, and he said that they were like, their marriage was irretrievably broken.
Mm-hmm. Like, I know, I think I snapped you about this. The way celebrities announce their like breakups,
it's so like, weird.
What are these word combinations?
I know. So they put out a joint. Well, I guess this is weird because like on Instagram now, you know how you can make like a joint post, which this shows we were really like out of the game.
I know, because it'll be confusing.
Yeah,
like,
and then I'm like,
Joe
wait.
But Sophie posted it?
But for this one, they didn't do that. It was the same message, but they posted it separately. So I don't know if that says anything. But the message was basically like, traditional, like we've both come to this decision. Please give us space and respect our privacy. Of what you've read. Yeah. So anyway, after that kind of happened, we had all the reports where Sophie's been partying like crazy, and that's why he wants to leave her. There's the thing with the Ring camera that Joe allegedly caught something, heard something. We don't even know. No. Then they're saying that like, Joe has been carrying the weight and the burden of the children. There were the alleged staged paparazzi photos. There's been so many like stories out there and different allegations about both parties. Yeah. And I don't know, I made a TikTok about it when things were just like fast and furious. It was like all over. It was crazy. I mean, on our Instagram, like the stuff from TMZ and Page 6 and it was like we were being bombarded with a news story like every couple hours. Literally. And we had some interaction on our TikTok where I was just saying, because we had talked about it, I'm like, we don't know what's happening. So like the media is spinning things like crazy. And then one of the people that commented was like, but it's Joe's camp that is putting this out and Sophie's just defending herself. And I guess like that goes to the whole point that we're trying to make with these parasocial relationships. Like, how do you know that they're like one camp is putting this stuff out? Like we don't even know that. No, I know. And like that person commenting that just didn't have anything to do with what you were saying. No, it really didn't. Like, no, she's responding because he's responding. And we're like, is she even responding? She's not even responding. Like, right. What? And then people are like, oh, well, he called Batgrid and had these photos. They're like, how convenient that they never had photos. And Sophie's made it such a point to like respect the kids' privacy. It's like, maybe the paparazzi are like stalking them. I know this is a hot topic right now. There's Joe with the kids. And the kids, somebody's like, and now the kids' faces aren't blurred out. It's like, first of all, they're supposed to be blurred out for that one thing. So if they weren't blurred out, then that was bad on those other people's part. So don't act like he's like, just see my kids now. I know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we have a deep-seated love for the Jonas brothers. I know, but I just refuse to believe that Joe is like this mastermind, like PR mastermind. I think I said to you too, I was like, sometimes in like normal people's divorces, they tell parents to like do certain things. Like make sure you be seen with the kids so you can still get custody and stuff. And it's like, maybe that's what's going on. And it's not like this, I'm trashing Sophie thing. Right. Or like, who knows what these like friends of these people are. Like seriously. Maybe Joe Jonas's friend never liked Sophie and is out there running his mouth. Right. Like you just don't know. Or like, just because maybe his PR team leaked something, that doesn't even mean that Joe knew about it. Right. Like, it didn't come straight from his mouth, And it's like, if you're a smart PR person and you're trying to like keep your celebrity looking good, then you're going to do that. Like that, or make it seem a certain way that it's not. I just feel like because both of them have actually stayed silent about it, apart from that Instagram post, then like, I don't believe that they're pitted against each other. And Joe just said something at his concert. Yeah. And he's like, don't believe it unless you hear it come out of my mouth. Yeah. Enough said. Right. I mean, and maybe I'm just blindly following, but I just don't believe that. Or it's like, I guess I just don't know how to feel about it because I've never really heard people like bash him before in that way. So it's like, why are we all of a sudden deciding that Joe Jonas is the worst person ever? Or why does it have to be like Sophie's a bad mom? No, Joe's like a horrible husband. Like, what? Why does it have to be either or? Why can't they just be two people who didn't work in a relationship? And like, I just find it hard to believe that two people that have been pretty like private throughout the majority of their relationship, especially since they became parents, that they would suddenly both be going to the media to like put stories out. Well, actually, now that you bring it up,
after I had the second baby, she was just not supportive. And it's like, did she really say that?
Right. I just don't believe it.
He wanted me to go out all the time. And then the way that the two stories are conflicting, it's like, no, he's the party guy. No, she's the party girl.
I even saw, like, you know, on one, I think it was a podcaster, actually, I think it was Fluently Forward, and she was talking about, like, she had previously done an episode about them or something. And she's like, look at these quotes that I have with, like, Sophie talking about the kids versus Joe talking about the kids. And Joe's were like, yeah, like, it's a lifestyle change. You know, like, I used to be able to travel whenever I wanted, or I was busy. I was here or there. And now, like, I'm at home all the time and it's my home base. And, like, she kind of spun it where she was saying, like, look, he doesn't want to be at home, but, like, that really isn't. It was taken out of context with the interview. And then Sophie's like, you know, I protect the privacy of my kids. So it's like, those are sound bites that were taken out of larger interviews. And seriously, do you really think that those are the only things that they've ever said about their kids? Like, maybe that's what they've said to the media, and they don't even do that many interviews. But, like, they both love their children, I'm assuming. You know what I mean? Like, I would never assume that someone is a bad parent. Just with based no basis.
Or like if Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds divorce, and you take the stuff that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, it's like, it's like, are you going to be like, see?
He never loved her. Look at everything that he said. Yeah, like, I don't know. It makes me just feel like, why do we think that we have, like, this authority to just speak on people's relationships?
Even when they had, like, gotten together and she was, like, young, and then he was older, and people are like, oh, it's because she got her youth robbed. And wasn't she 20?
I think there's like 7 years between them, right? Like, well, then they were like, oh, well, her frontal lobe fully developed, and now she wants out of the marriage.
Well, and then I'm like, me and my husband was 20 when we started dating. I mean, I was
you obviously were. You just said 6 months different than like 7 years.
But still, it's like we're both young. Now all of a sudden our relationship doesn't matter because we weren't fully formed.
Right. I know. It's just, I think that's such a weird, like, point to make where it's like, and then just assuming that was the demise of their marriage. Like, I don't even think 7 years is that big of a difference, you know?
Or like, okay, so she was young, but so does everybody else when they get married. It's like, I don't understand why. And even so, if they were both 20, would they still make that argument?
Right. Or people it just feels like they're just picking at every little bit, like that possibly could be. Like, remember
people were going nuts. I mean, absolutely nuts with this.
The one was like, oh, well, she didn't want to have a third kid and Joe did. I don't even get how that's a point to this. Because it's like,
what does that even mean? She don't have a kid now?
Right. But it's like, why would that destroy a marriage? Like, they already have 2 kids.
It's not like she's withholding kids in general.
Like, that doesn't even make
could be a good,
sense.
Big deal.
Yeah, I could definitely see. But
it could be like, she wanted with their kid. The one is only like a year old.
Right. Like, oh, well, she's just abandoning the other 2. It's only the third one is the one that matters. Like, okay, I don't understand. It just is weird. And then people are so stern with like, no, this is coming from his camp. The call's coming from inside the house. We know. Like, how do you know? Literally. Do you have an inside source?
Literally.
Like, you're just assuming all of this. Like, you don't know.
No.
So I'm just going off of
what they're saying. So far, it's been 2 things. What he said at the concert and what they put on Instagram.
Yeah. And they never seemed like the type of couple that would go through like a super nasty.
I know.
I mean, I'm shocked that they're getting a divorce.
I know.
Really
I'm honestly kind of sad. I was looking at that. Remember when they were the Addams Family?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, gosh, that was so iconic.
Good. I know.
I know. I'm really sad. And
and people have been like, well, she's a cool girl and he's always wanted to be so cool and he's not as cool as her. He's jealous. Like, I'm sorry. Joe Jonas has always been arguably the coolest Jonas brother. So I felt like he and Sophie were like on par.
Me too. And they seem like such a good couple. There we are, just like being parasocial with them.
I know. What else did I even write down? Basically everything that we just said. Oh, it just feels like we're just villainizing both sides.
I know.
And I guess I don't know why. Like we don't know what's going on. We don't know the true facts. So I don't know why we feel like we can make all these assumptions.
And like, can you imagine, like, just I know it's like, that's what you sign up for, being a celebrity, but can you imagine you get on TikTok casually and it's nothing but people diagnosing?
They should not even be on social media right now.
How could you? It would be so hard to just like bite your tongue.
I know.
Or be like, you're right. Or
to not
that's
comment.
Totally way. Yeah.
I know.
But
this kind of goes into a little bit about the parasocial, but it's a little bit more controversial with the Danny Masterson got sentenced to 30 years.
That literally blew my mind because I feel like sometimes it just seems like people in Hollywood get away with that kind of stuff. And I was like, 30 years? Like, it was just mind-blowing.
Like, it really wasn't a slap on the wrist. Like, he got 15 years for both. That was crazy. Which I really wasn't following that case all that closely. Because it went on for kind of a long time.
It did. And I honestly thought nothing was going to come of it. So I'm like, oh, whatever, we'll see. And then I was like, wait, what?
I'm glad that justice was served there. Yes. But the main point that I think people have been talking about more so than the actual sentencing is the fact that it was leaked that many people from that 70s show wrote character letters. And the two that were coming under the most fire were Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. Now, this is tough. I think it's hard
being a friend out here.
Yeah, but seriously,
I know, and I do think that that is so hard too, because if you know them as not that way, and you're believing your friend, I mean, like if he's saying I didn't do this or whatever, and then it's like, what are you supposed to do? And he's like, you guys are my best buds. Can you write this?
Right. Like, and Ashton's, did you see the video that they put out?
I saw some of it.
He said that the family asked him, like, I think his parent, Danny Masterson's parents, asked if they would write a letter. And I don't know if their letter, like, fully got leaked, and I didn't dig in and look for it. I think it did. So I didn't look for it to read it, but I did see a couple other people's letters. And in the two that I saw, they were saying, like, you know, I'm not knocking the justice system. Like, I understand that this is what he's been convicted of, but I'm asking the judge to think about, like, the impact that this will have on his child's life, whatever. And, you know, I just think this is one of those things where, like, two things can be true at the same time. Like, for Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, I don't doubt that Danny Masterson was a good friend to them.
They've known him forever.
But do I still think that good people can sometimes do really horrible things?
And be, like, nice to your face?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just hard because now people are really ragging on Mila and Ashton and even bringing up stuff about, like, their past and their relationships. I mean, I even saw stuff about, remember when Ashton he wasn't really involved, but he was, like, brought to court about that murder. Yes. Yeah, people were bringing that up again. I'm like, what relevance does that even have?
It's like, he wasn't the murderer.
No, he testified that he was supposed to pick her up and didn't. Yeah, like.
So he's a loser.
Right. I don't know what that has to do with this situation. But it was just like, you know, I don't know why
people are just waiting to pounce.
They are. Or like, oh, well, he was friends with him, so that means he's problematic too. And what are they hiding? And I don't know. Maybe they are hiding stuff. Maybe they're not. Like, for me, without, like, jumping to, like, a million conclusions, there isn't, like, real evidence that this is some big that 70s show conspiracy theory cover up.
Like, I know. I even saw, like, this clip from, oh gosh, it would have been from forever ago, where it was like Mila and Ashton.
Oh, that interview.
Where they're like.
With Rosie O'Donnell?
No, I think it was a guy. But it was like, just like, Danny Masterson or whatever paid him $10 to like slip me the tongue.
Yeah.
Was that with Rosie O'Donnell?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think it was.
Guy. Well, she did have short hair.
But it's like, yeah, that's pretty crappy. I mean, it is, but at the same time, she was kind of like laughing about it and then ended up marrying.
I know. And is it weird when you isolate that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird. And honestly, that whole thing was weird. Like that Mila Kunis was so young being cast in that situation. But honestly, like I kind of put that more on like
the
production.
Yeah, and like
because why? Like, I get that she's an actress, but she's still a child actress, and like making her like make out with.
Yeah. And it's like, even if she initially lied and said she was like 18
older,
or something, it's like, okay, but then you found out she wasn't.
But I did think it was kind of funny in that interview. Like, you could tell Ashton was like a little uncomfortable too. He's like, well, hold on a second. But I mean, the point of it, not to like rationalize everything, but he even said, he's like, you know, we were saying like if we were actually boyfriend and girlfriend,
right,
like we would probably be like actually making out and like French kissing. So like, shouldn't we do that? Right. But like, it's weird to do it. Like, you know, I don't know. But did he have like some creepy tendencies? Maybe, yeah. But like, I don't think it's fair to just like pull apart random interviews. And I really don't think that Mila and Ashton should be like damaged because of this.
It's just like crazy the way they're like digging up people who just are associated with it. And it's like, they obviously probably didn't think that was going to get out, that they wrote like, that they got like wrote character things. But it's like, I don't know, it's your friend.
And they're just writing about their experience with this person.
Right, not expecting it to like change everything just by that.
You know, I guess it's like interesting though, because it's kind of that this is going off a little bit from the Parasocial, but just the celebrity privilege, whereas like he didn't end up getting like a short sentence, but it's like, okay, if I can get all these like famous people to write character witnesses for me, will that impact?
And it's interesting too, because I feel like there is still sympathy for him from the public, and they're like worried about what's going to happen to him instead of like caring about his victims. And that's like a whole other Parasocial situation.
It really is, because essentially like the victims are kind of like nameless, faceless, like we don't really care about them, or they weren't famous people, so it's like, oh, but or obviously even, like when they're like, oh, think of the impact on the kid's life and his life for doing X amount of time, I immediately thought, okay, what about the impact that this had on the victims' lives?
This like super traumatic situation that happened to them. It's like, that's like not their problem.
Change their whole trajectory of their life.
Right. It's like, it's not their problem. He had a kid and got married.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I know. Okay. Or like if someone, you know, commits murder, are we supposed to just be like, oh, but there's 2 kids at home? Like, okay, well,
2 kids just died. So
I know. I don't know. But it is just interesting how we're suddenly, like, it just seemed like the focus was taken away from the actual crime, and it was just put on like,
now we're mad at Mila and Ashton. It's like, wait, hold up. Why are we not mad at Danny?
Yeah. Like, I did see I don't know if it was the whole video, because it wasn't like, it was just from a news source. It wasn't from like wherever they posted it, but it was so clear that like Mila was like reading something that was pre-prepared, which made it so disingenuous to me. And Ashton was like very like casually talking about it and seemed way more like genuine, whereas she was like, and we stand with the victims wholeheartedly.
Dramatic head turn.
Yeah.
We stand with the victims historically. It's like, what?
But no, and I saw I think it was Not Skinny But Not Fat posted, because she is like all up on her Insta stories. But
all the juice.
She posted like when she says we have stood historically, she means Ashton. And really, like, Ashton has been the one that's like doing fighting so hard. Yes. Like, he is the one that's really, which not that Mila isn't also supportive, but it's just like, don't bubble yourself in with that right now, like girl. You're literally reading from a freaking teleprompter. Like,
I know, and even with like Ashton Kutcher, they were like bringing up some of the stuff from like Demi's book, and I listened to her book, and I did not enjoy it. But I mean, even when I got to those parts, I'm like, okay, this is her experience with him, and maybe he even was like just a kind of a douchebag back then.
Does that surprise you? I mean, he was also like, young and...
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, but he was young, and that doesn't mean that's the way he is with Mila, and that doesn't mean he's like this bad person now. And like, maybe he changed when he had kids. Maybe he changed when he met Mila, and that was his true person. It's like, yeah, you know, but let's just go back too, because Ashton was a very young man married to a much older woman, and that could be damage on him too. Just saying, but
like, I mean, we could easily throw some grooming out there on that one. That was a huge age difference and a bizarre. I can't even believe that they actually were married. Like, it's so crazy.
It literally was crazy.
If you're anything like us, you love to sneak a little bit of that raw cookie dough out of the bowl before you bake it. You know it's bad for you, but it's just so good that you can't help it. Well, now there's a company that is making raw cookie dough that is actually safe to eat, and it is made with good for you ingredients. At Dough, they make cookie doughs that taste amazing. They're vegan, they're gluten-free, and they are enhanced with vitamins and supplements that can help with immunity, your skin, and mood support. The best part about these is that you can eat it right out of the tub, or you can spoon it out and bake it in just 8 or 9 minutes. They also have some delicious donut holes that we recently tried on the podcast, and these are perfect if you want to bring them to work or even put them in a lunchbox. They're enhanced with some more vitamins that can help increase energy and metabolism, and let me tell you, they were so good. We tried the chocolate and the vanilla ones, and they were just amazing. So be sure to try Dough at eatdough.com, and if you use our promo code ESWBPOD, you will receive 10% off, and you can use free shipping on orders over $30 for free shipping. So that's eatdough.com, and dough is spelled DEUX, and use ESWBPOD at checkout for a nice discount. The other big thing with has just taken the media by storm is the Jimmy Fallon thing. Now, this is like traditional bandwagon hopping, I feel, because even like the people that originally came out and said like that this is a hostile work environment or whatever, and then all the people on social media that have no experience with Jimmy Fallon but are saying like, can you seriously not tell that he's drunk at every show?
No. Do I think he interrupts his guests a lot? Yeah, I do, but I don't think he's smashed.
I honestly think that he's like awkward and uncomfortable. That's what I think more of the time. He
definitely seems like he just like always seems like he's just started out, but he has enough celebrity friends that it like works.
Right. I know. And I mean, obviously we don't know him, but like to me, these things seem kind of out of character. And I even heard, I think it was Not Skinny Not Fat again, posted like, it's people have crappy bosses.
Right.
Like that doesn't mean that that person is terrible. It just means that like maybe they handle work stress in a bad way. And like, I'm sorry, but like I've been in quite a few like works environments where it wasn't all like rainbows and butterflies and kittens running around. And like, it didn't cause me to have suicidal thoughts because I realized like this is my work. I have to like pull it together or leave and get a different job.
I know, that's what I was going to say. It's like, if it's too much, then and I know it's like easy to be like, oh, just go get another job. And like, it actually is hard to get other jobs, but it's like, I don't know. But when you think about it too, like it doesn't make it right if he really is like treating them terrible, but that's also his name on this, you know, like everything has to be going well, again, if he really is being a nightmare, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of pressure. He's probably getting pressured from the network.
I thought that the exact same thing. Like how stressful it must be to put out a show every night, to like think about the ratings
and like, just like streaming now. It's like, are people watching like they used to? Like I know people watch the clips on YouTube and stuff a lot, but are they watching it like the way they used to? I had a boss at a job that was there before me, so I didn't actually have her, and they would always talk about how she was such a nightmare, but if you knew, but then they'd be like, well, yeah, but she also got reamed out by the next above her. And it's like, well, and then no wonder she was like kind of like, it's not right. She shouldn't have to take it out on them, but it's like because of what we're doing, she's getting yelled at.
Exactly.
I wasn't there, but I was like, you guys are not being that sympathetic to her.
I know. And then like, I think it was on the Daily Mail today or yesterday where they were saying like now other workers have come forward and they're like, this is a great work environment. Like they're in support of Jimmy Fallon, which I mean, I don't know. And then people were like dissing the fact that he did like a Zoom call apology with his staff, which I found absurd. Like
you can't apologize right these days. It's always wrong.
And it's like with so many people that work remotely that might be in different areas, that it's like the only way to get everybody on the call is literally Zoom. They want him to go knocking on each individual person's door.
Letters of apology, personally hand delivered them, and that will be still not good enough. And then you'll have to publicly apologize. It's like it's
just absurd. Like
I know people, the way they just like switch up on people is so like just insane.
I know. And I mean, how scary. And I've seen, remember when this was a few years ago when Jimmy had RuPaul on. And it was like the Vogue cover and he said something like the first drag queen. And I don't even remember what RuPaul said, like to correct, but it was something like funny, like it was, but RuPaul like acted really offended.
And he's like, Jimmy, I'm not a drag queen.
Panicked.
I know, he's like
what? You saw it live, like the panic on his face of like, oh my God, like my career could be over. Like, what did I say wrong? And it's like, I just feel like he seems like a person who does care about like his guests, and he just wants to make a good show.
He doesn't want to say something offensive or hurtful. I know it is just so tough for like, it's like, was Jimmy Fallon the actual reason? Because it was kind of like the Lizzo thing where it's like there was parts where Lizzo was bad, but then there was other parts where the people working under her were the bad ones.
I know.
And it's like, did they always know? And people are like, you should know who's working under you. But if you're not there.
And also when you're at that level, like you don't always know who's all working under you.
That's why you hire people in hopes that they're doing what you need them to do.
Like you said, like an apology just is never enough. So like, is this story going to go away now because he apologized? I mean, what more do you want him to do? Like
at the end of the day, you guys aren't working for him.
Right. So why do you have a comment? That's what's so crazy. Like, why do you feel the need to like comment on this?
If you don't agree or if you think he's such a terrible person, then don't watch.
Right. Don't watch. Don't apply for a job there. It's like, don't. Easy solution.
Right.
Then you won't have to see anything.
That's why I can't. It's like, I mean, not to just get into cancel culture, but it's like, cancel them within yourself. That's all you can do. Don't support them. Don't buy their stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that's the only way you can hurt them. Because at the end of the day, you're just sitting on your computer or your phone and typing stuff out.
I don't understand people who make like these negative comments about stuff, because it's like, you can easily not look at this content. You can easily not see news about this person that you don't like. Like you're going out of your way to look at things and to make up narratives. And at the end of the day, this is what we said last episode too. But people are going to like come up with or hop on the narrative that is most convenient to them or is most interesting to them. And they're just going to stick with it. And I feel like with everything that we discussed today, like that's the case where people are just spinning these narratives and it's not even stuff that's coming actually from people involved.
Literally.
Like it's crazy.
I know. It's like they're just waiting. Like, actually, you know what? I don't like that person now that you've got me started. It's like, let's just, okay, you don't like them.
I know. So you don't have to talk about it anymore.
Done so.
I know.
But, probably it for today.
Yeah, should we wrap it up? I feel like you could talk about stuff with Parasocial for forever.
We'll probably talk about it again at some point.
I know, at some point. But yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, what do you think of all this stuff in general? Or how do you feel about parasocial relationships? Do you think they've gone too far? Do you have any that you're like can't not be involved in them?
I know that you're so deep in that you feel like you are.
I was just something funny. I was thinking about how, we were like, and we're still Lady Gaga fans, but we were like obsessed with her. We'd sit in computer class and just change our background to different pictures. And then remember that we like got blocked for regular Google, so we'd have to go to different countries' Googles to get pictures of her. But I remember there was a time where we were like, she is getting really hard to defend.
Yeah,
and it was like a really intense time to be a little monster.
Yeah, it was. Like people would like
rag
say stuff about
us.
Yeah, like, oh, you guys like Lady Gaga, and we'd be like,
yes,
yeah, we do.
And then she's like coming to the award show in like a
meat dress or an egg.
And like she's being born as she's an embryo in a sack. It's like
we're like, it's artistic.
We're like, isn't that cool, Ailish? Or we'd be like, here she comes. Oh dear. And I just remember us talking about it. We're like, it's hard out here. It's hard being a Lady Gaga fan.
It really was.
Yeah, so we've definitely had, our parasocial
for sure.
engulfment in celebrities.
We talked about it with the Kardashians last week too. Mm-hmm. But I just think like with us now like getting older and having like more of our own life experiences, I think it's changed, how we view things with celebrity. And maybe that's just it with some of these other people.
I know. I definitely think there's young kids out there
or older people who just don't have lives.
Right? It's like they're celebrities, and at the end of the day, they're richer than you, and they don't give a crap about what you're saying.
And also, we're all literally people. Like,
I know, and
we're the same.
I know, and we all make mistakes. You're just not seeing it on the platform that they are. And obviously, there's huge mistakes like the Danny Masterson thing, but it's like a lot of this stuff just feels you're just picking at somebody.
I know.
But
so anyway, do we want to do recommendations?
I do have one if you want to do it.
Okay, I have one. You can go first if you want.
I am recommending another small podcast called The Groundlings.
Okay.
And my young cousin, was actually featured in one of the episodes.
Oh.
So it's all in the family here.
Fun.
But they only have a few episodes, but they basically do like reviews on like albums and movies.
Oh my gosh, fun. Can they give us a shout out?
I know. Maybe I'll see if they have an Instagram.
We'll tag them. We'll put them in where our usual recommendations are in the description.
Yeah.
I am going to recommend, I'm trying a new coffee. Now, I'm not typically like a coffee drinker unless I get it from a like coffee shop.
Right.
But I'm trying not to spend a whole bunch of money. So I got this like cold brew thing from Target. And I had a Trader Joe's coffee that I didn't really like it that much. But I got the Starbucks pumpkin spice coffee. And that's pretty good. Yeah. So I'm going to recommend that. I know that's nothing like groundbreaking and people have done it before, but we are heading into the pumpkin spice season.
It's even chilly today, man.
It is. So yeah, I would recommend doing it yourself at home. You don't have to spend all that money. Yeah.
As Lil Dicky once said, save that money.
Don't forget to check us out on all of our socials. Please interact with us. We love doing the podcast and we love our listeners so much. So we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Please interact. Instagram, TikTok. If you even want to email us, our email's out there.
I'll go right ahead.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars and put some reviews. Nothing negative, please. 5 stars only.
Just privately message us the bad stuff.
Yeah. So we'll cry about it alone, and the public won't have to see.
Yes.
And tell your friends about us, please. So we can grow in viewership.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.